Hi everyone, you've landed at Aquascaping on the Fly Living Art Creations. I'm Anthony, your host and content creator. Here on my channel, I like to infuse my love of spirit and Mother Nature into every one of the builds I make, whether it's on the terrarium side or the aquascaping side. So feel free to inquire about how I use spirit in my guides through your comments, and I can go into further detail for you. And while we're on the subject of comments, we are now at 223 subscribers. So thank you for that. That's very exciting. The channel is just 6 months old. And one of the things I love about it is that the comments, I listen to all of them, I read all of them, and I answer all of them. And I love the positive, uplifting community that the channel has created that has caught me quite by surprise. Your outpour of love and generosity is amazing, and I do appreciate that. And I get that through every one of my comments. So if you feel compelled and you like the content we're making here, please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything. It just says, hey, I like that. And leaving a comment is awesome. And also, if you will do a like on the videos. For the algorithm, which for YouTube hasn't even gotten me anywhere near my audience yet, which is kind of funny because my channel is so new. When you get all three of those, I consider it the trifecta for the YouTube algorithm. And then it kind of helps push your videos out there to that larger audience that it's intended for when you're talking about aquascaping and terrariums. So that's just my shameless plug for the channel. Today, however, what we're going to talk about is I'm doing a retrospective series on the 5 tanks that we have up and running right now. So that includes Blackfish, which is a 20-gallon long, Tree of Life, another 20-gallon long, and then the Trinity series, which is a series of 3 tanks that are 10 gallons each. 3 individual tanks with different hardscapes, but they carry one theme across. One universal theme for all of them. And what we're going to do is we're going to delve into a lot to do about the shrimp that's in each tank and the challenges that I have faced with the shrimp. A couple of plant issues that did not work out very well. The addition of mystery shrimp and what to look out for when you're adding any type of shrimp to your tank setup. And then also we're going to talk about the houseplants that I have growing out of my tanks and what a difference I can see in my water quality because of my houseplants. And it's also going to delve into how old each setup is and the specifics, notes that I've taken that I think is going to be really important for you guys out there that are trying this on your own for the first time. Now remember, my channel is not one of those channels where there's any subscribers. I'm purchasing all of my materials on my own. I'm setting up tanks as a beginner because I have no experience in this. When I created my channel, it was out of drive and determination, and I believe it was spirit-led because I found it quite by accident. And when I found the first video, I was basically hooked immediately. And within just a few short weeks, I had created my own YouTube channel with no knowledge of how to do anything. I mean, basically that's it. And I felt driven to put out videos that show other beginners that don't have the finances to put into what a normal setup is going to cost you. So my tanks are low budget. They are no tech except for one little 3 or 5 watt pump that I use just to circulate water around because for me, I am a Cancer, and Cancers love the sound of water. It's very therapeutic for us, and I like hearing the slow motion of the water in all the tanks around me because my studio is my living room. So when I'm in here, it's awesome. And that's also something I do want to touch on now in this intro. There's something that a lot of people don't really outwardly talk about is how therapeutic this hobby is. Considering the climate of the world, in North America right now, specifically in the United States, as far as what's going on politically around us. There's so much uncertainty. It's nice to have something when you come home that your sanctuary is you can unplug from. And when unplug, I mean the television and your mobile device. Because, you know, when we have our mobile devices, we're connected to them 24/7. This is a hobby where it forces you to put that down and focus on the very simple things in life. And setting up a tank in your own home or office or wherever that's most important, your safety place is, it's great to have an aquarium set up and a terrarium set up. I get just as much joy out of watching my, oh my gosh, I just went blank, Desert Oasis fireplace terrarium. I'm allergic to smoke, so my fireplace here is useless. So I turned it into a terrarium and I call it Desert Oasis. The plants in there change daily, and I do mean that. They move around as much as they can, fighting for dominance on who's going to be the dominant plant and who's going to get the most sunlight that day. It is a trip to watch them. It's fascinating. So with the tanks, when you put it together yourself and you're deciding on your hardscape and your rocks and your gravel, I'm that channel where we go out into nature and we get inspired. And it's usually always a hardwood piece that I start with, that when I pick it up, I know immediately what I'm supposed to do with it, or I know immediately the name I'm going to call that tank. And that has been the rule of thumb for every single one of these builds I have started with. It has started with a walk in nature, and I have found something, I brought it home, I knew what to do with it, and it's just a matter of, okay, now where am I going to find my rocks? What kind of gravel am I going to use? So I have one tank where I got my rocks from a riverbed. I normally try to scavenge landscaping sites where I know they throw their trash away, because that's a gold mine for me. I can find rocks and dead shrubs and limbs and all kinds of stuff there. And then I just bring it home and I prep it. You know, you just have to really prep it really, really well to be able to put it into your aquarium. So therefore, I'm not spending any money on my hardscape or my rocks, and a lot of times my gravel. So my substrate and my tank. So the substrate, I do use an aqua soil substrate. My tanks, I get 50% off at PetSmart, and I wait until they have the additional 20% off coupon that's usually online. So I don't pay anywhere near what someone else is paying for their setup. So I'm not putting any extra equipment into it. And the lighting I use is very low budget, but I'm still using full spectrum grow lights. But I use the mini strips, and you'll see them on my video, but they're attached to the studio around it so that the light is coming down. I did have them attached right on the tanks, which is why I was using the, if you get your tanks from like PetSmart or Petco, and they've got the black little banding at the top and the bottom, I use that. I needed it in my setup on my studio because I have bolts that are holding the shelf up that 3 of my tanks are sitting on. If I didn't have the riser that's built into the tank, I wouldn't be able to put my tanks there because it would be a flat surface and the glass would be tilted. So I actually use the little black decorative piece that goes on there, and I use it on the ones on the top, and I attach my houseplants to it. So for me, it's very beneficial, and it doesn't bother my view. And matter of fact, I can hide my water line because the lip of that rim comes down into the tank. So if you always tap your water off, you'll always see water, and that's it. You won't necessarily see that corrosion line that you see on a lot of tanks unless you clean it really, really, really well. And I'm kind of lazy when it comes to that. I kind of like let my tanks go for a little bit. So I'm doing a natural planted tank, and I'm only using that little pump to circulate the water around, and that's it. So my builds, the most I've spent so far is just over $200. And when I say just over $200, I'm talking like $210. Most of my tanks are around $150, and that's all the plants I put in them. And I don't go cheap on my plants. I buy the plants I want. So if you're looking for a hobby where you can get into it and enjoy it, I've got shrimp only at this point. So when I do livestock, I will buy the ones that are a bargain price, and I will get the ones that will go in and cohabitate with other plants. I've already been doing research on the levels of the tank and what fish swim in what level. So if you're looking for a tank that has the full range of fish that are swimming in it, you need to do your research about who swims at the top, who swims at the bottom, and who swims in the middle section, so that when they're all going around doing their thing, that they're going to be happy in the different levels. And always remember that fish like to swim side to side, not up and down. So the tall tank is not as beneficial for your fish as a wider tank. It gives them more swimming room. So that's just like a little FYI. But so feel welcome to be in my channel, to come on board. I'd love to have your feedback. So right now I'm going to close this section out, and then I'm going to go use this same intro for every one of the tanks. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you guys enjoy the videos. Okay, everyone, welcome to Garden of Eden. This is the left flanking tank in our trilogy series, the Trinity. And what I want to point out, the reason why I call this Garden of Eden, on one of my nature walks, I have a battery operated chainsaw, so I look kind of ferocious when I'm out on a nature walk. It's like no one ever approaches me because, I'm carrying a chainsaw. So, I mean, that's just an FYI. It's kind of fun to do that. So I had one hand available, and I found these two pieces right here. These are separate pieces, but they were from the same trunk. And when I picked them up, I only had one hand to hold them. And so I kind of tried to fold them together. And when I placed them together, they fit so naturally, just like this. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Adam, that's Eve. And a couple of days later, this little dude, if you can, you will, okay, so I'm gonna move the plant because I want you to see it. It's amazing the way this looks. Okay. So let's zoom in, and you'll see the full effect of Garden of Eden and why it has its name. You see my little snake? You see the little snake's mouth right there? That's a snake's mouth. It did have a piece of one of the rosa plants in it, and it grew for a little while, but then it finally died because there's nothing for it to grow to. But this has been covered in Christmas moss. And the Amano shrimp do a beautiful job in here, keeping everything really clean. And so does the orange mystery snail that's right there taking a snooze. This is the male. This is the little randy male that attacks all the women. So this stick I found on a separate trail. I kid you not. Do you see how this bend mimics, the rocks were already in here. This twig mimics the bends of the whole thing. It goes all the way around. It touches the back of the tank. It comes up here to the corner of the tank. It's held in place by tension. Now, if I want, I can have this snake's head above water by like 2 inches, and it holds itself in place at the very, very top. Now, I'm wanting to make sure that I get equal growth on it, but I'm loving how the Christmas moss is growing out on this one. And it looks, to me, impeccable. And I love the fact that it is Garden of Eden because it's got a snake. The snake had a red tongue. But other than that, I've done a little nod to red in the two plants I have in here. I've got a Rex begonia right there. Of course, it's got red stems. And then I have a prayer plant that has a red theme in its leaves. So I'm doing my nod to the red just because we got to have it in there. So that's one of the things I love about this tank because I love a good theme. I mean, I just love a good theme. I'm theatrical, I guess. I just love it. But this tank, like the other two in the Trinity series, was set up on April the 23rd. So it has also been set up now for 77 days. Originally, this had 9 Amano shrimp in it. Now, Amano shrimp are more expensive compared to the other ones you can get, and they don't breed unless you have a specific setup for them. But I can tell you from personal experience, they are voracious eaters of biofilm. This tank had the worst outbreak of all my tanks. The wood structure here, Adam and Eve, were covered in a massive thick layer. This tank also had blackbeard. It did not have cyanobacteria, but it had blackbeard. The Amano shrimp took care of all that. And when I had the 9 in here, I just thought they were always busy and I never really could count all of them. But honestly, they are territorially aggressive. I've seen it in action. And they will scavenge, though, all the way from the bottom to the very top. They are known to escape tanks. I just had one do that a couple of days ago. I found it on the floor the next day. So they do get out, and not only did it crawl out of here, but it crawled about a good 5 feet before it died. So on July 8th, wait a minute. When were they originally put in? They were introduced on June the 11th. I found one dead just recently when I moved 3 of them to the Tree of Life. And when we do that little section of that video, you'll understand why I moved them. There was only 1 remaining in the tank and 1, the male mystery snail. So I'm keeping 1 in here because they do fight over territory. This one in here by itself should be fine. They do an amazing job of keeping that stick in pristine condition, and they love chomping on the roots as well. And they love to swim against the current. I don't know, maybe it's like a game for them or something, but they really do have a lot of fun. What is different about this tank is it did have some of the Rosa plant that's in the bird of the wire, and it all completely just did not do well in here whatsoever. So it was taken out. It has also the leopard, the Val leopard, which is right here in the back. It's kind of stalled out. It's been in here the whole time. It's never grown up. I don't know what's wrong because, like I said on the other tank on Turtle, it's got a massive root tab structure underneath all these aqua soil. So that was the common element between Eden and Turtle, was the Vallisneria was on both sides, the leopard, because each tank is going to speak to the other one. These rocks were foraged while I was on layovers, so they did not come from Texas. But the hardscape did come from Texas. The only other plant that's in here is a monstera, and it's growing 1 root out. And I'll show you. It's got this 1 super long root, but that's all it's done so far. It's not put on any new leaves yet. It's just kind of like holding its own. The prayer plant, which I didn't know if it was going to make it, it's just started branching some of its limbs off. And the Rex begonia, it's holding its own. Come on. It's holding its own, but you can see it has no aquatic leaves yet. It's been in there the shortest amount of time compared to the other ones. And they love to climb this thing. Let's see. Okay, so otherwise, plants that we're talking about, I'm going to make sure I cover everything I need to. So if you're considering the mono, just remember they can't escape and they are territorial. They become aggressive over their territory, but I read nowhere where they will eat other shrimp that are smaller than they are. Oh, and you can see right now. Well, he was on the stick and he moved. Okay, so let's talk about overall theme on all 3 of these. So I did this is Pinto all through here. This is Golden. This is one of the Leylinas, and I can't forget what this one is from another tank. So I'm trying to mirror plants from one into the next. And my hardscape follows an arcing theme. So I'm going to have to back you up so I can show this on camera. All right, so I can do these two first so you can see that. All right. You see how the Adam portion here, Adam is coming up, and if he were following his natural curve, look where he'd go. Like this, comes down, it matches the curve of turtle. So turtle continues to go in a downward spiral or downward trajectory. It's going down. Look what happens when it hits bird. Turtle and bird match. So bird kind of like stays level, and then it juts up and out all the way to the ceiling. And let me give you a closer look at how these two mirror each other. So that's why on these two tanks, you've got this dasin on this side and this side, because it's supposed to be a continuous flow. You've got turtle pointing down, bird matching that point, and then going up and coming out completely. So it is, to me, this overall arc. And we've used the same plants. The only one that did not successfully make it into the other two tanks is this Rosa that I have here. So all this pink, which is doing amazingly well in that tank on bird, I had some planted, let me lower that down here. I had some between the rocks and in here. And then when you got over to Adam and Eve, I had a cluster right here. And then I had one at the very end, which would, if you had connected all the tanks in a circle, it would have came full circle back to bird. And the stick on bird would have met the stick on the snake. Now, I know that it's super stretchy and convoluted, but it is how sometimes our little artistic brain works, and that's how it works for me. So my takeaway on this one is be careful about your aqua soil. Your aqua soil may work for you or against you. And with that being said, let me turn on these lights here. So hopefully I can give you, here, move this over, if I can. Yes. Stay. Don't move, please. Okay, so there you have it. Now, maybe you can see the symmetry a little bit, and you can also see how it goes up to the ceiling. So I have some lights there. They're not the lights I really wanted because those aren't the kind I was looking for, but it's all I could find on my budget. And I did build this out myself. I built all of this. This was part of when I did my kitchen remodel. It's not too dark. But you can see here their theme was, okay, rock cluster comes in here, rock cluster comes exit, rock cluster on the end. That end matches this end on this side. So bird's right matches Eden's left. So if you put them in a circle, they would all physically connect to each other. And that's just how my brain works. That's the best way to describe it. So that's this collection, the Trinity series. And it was the very first set of tanks I did. So they're the oldest tanks. And I planned them as one unit, one build, one art install. I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'll put the text boxes in here so you know what is going on, pH, lighting, and more details about the shrimp. I hope you guys have enjoyed this journey, and I'll see you on the next build.